Welcome back, focused learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. If you've been working through your Spanish journey, you've probably realized that one of the most exciting milestones is finally being able to talk about who people are and what they actually do for a living. Well, today we are completely decoding how to express our identities and professions. We're going to draw directly from Unit 2 of our source material, specifically zeroing in on Exercise M on page 21. It seriously provides a fantastic, practical framework for this. By the end of our time together, you're not just going to memorize vocabulary, you're going to understand the actual structural logic of how Spanish connects a person to their workplace and to their professional title. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're putting all the pieces together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured roadmap for today. First up, mastering the verb ser. Second, we'll tackle workplaces and professions. Third, we'll get into some practice connecting the two. And finally, a quick summary and review. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, master the verb ser, or how to be somebody in Spanish. Look, if you want to talk about professions, the verb ser is basically your master key. Our source text makes a really important distinction. Spanish actually has two verbs for to be, ser and estar. We use ser specifically for fundamental identities, literally to be somebody. As you can see laid out here, yo pairs with soy, I am. Tu pairs with eres, you are. But okay, pay very close attention to that third row. El meaning he and ella meaning she both pair perfectly with s. I want you to mentally highlight those two combinations right now because they are going to be absolutely crucial for the exercises we're doing today. Moving right along to Section 2, workplaces and professions. Let's build up that vocabulary.
Let's establish the physical locations where our characters actually spend their days. Here is the vocabulary list straight from the source text. Listen to the pronunciation and really try to picture the location in your mind. We have the estación de policía, the police station, teatro, the theater, the hospital, spelled exactly the same as in English but remember with a silent H, de mercado, the market, de tribunal, the court, de carnicería, the butchery, and let's toss in one more, de carpintería, the carpentry workshop. Okay, so these are our core settings.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact connection we're making. Checking out this sketch from the source material, we see a woman in a medical coat with a stethoscope, right in front of a building that is clearly labeled hospital. The text tells us this is Maria, and she works at the Carlos J. Finlay Hospital. Therefore, connecting that location directly to her identity, Maria is a doctora. It's just a really perfect visual anchor for the word hospital and the profession doctora.
Let's see how this builds with another example. Here we are inside the mercado, the market. Notice the guy behind the counter in the apron, just happily serving customers who are buying up pineapples and bananas. Well, this is Carlos. And because Carlos works in the mercado assisting customers, his profession is dependiente, which translates to clerk or shop assistant. The workplace completely dictates the professional title.
Now let's look at another really essential pairing from the text. We have el tribunal, the court, paired directly with the corresponding profession, el abogado, the lawyer. It's actually kind of fascinating how the source text organizes these community locations. In one of the mapping exercises, it even points out that the lawyer's office is located directly opposite the police station. Little world-building details, right? But for our purposes today, just lock in that pairing. Tribunal equals abogado.
Let's rapidly fire through the rest of these intuitive matches so you have the vocabulary completely locked and loaded for our practice. Workplace is the estación de policía. The profession is policía. Simple. Teatro, the profession is actor or actrice. And if the workplace is the carnicería, the worker is the carnicero, or carpintería to carpintero. Did you catch that linguistic pattern? The place ends in ería and the person ends in ero. It's a real game changer once you notice it. All right, Section 3, practice. Time to actually connect the two and apply what we've learned.
So I'm going to challenge you right now to apply those ser conjugations to the vocab we just went over. Here's our first prompt, straight out of Exercise M, number 1. Laura estudia en la escuela Pedro Marrero. Laura studies at the Pedro Marrero school. The prompt asks us to complete the thought. Ella es. She is what? I'll give you a second. Mentally fill in that blank based on her location, the school.
Did you nail it? The answer is ella es estudiante. She is a student. Notice how cleanly that works out. We take the personal pronoun for she, which is ella, we conjugate the verb ser to es, and we just plug in the occupation estudiante. Ella es estudiante. Perfect.
Let's keep this momentum going with number 2. Marcos trabaja en la estación de policía. Marcos works at the police station. So, how do we construct the sentence to say what Marcos is?
Exactly right. Él es policía. He is a police officer. We use él because Marcos is male, es for the verb to be, and policía to bridge Marcos directly to his job at the estación de policía. You guys are doing great. Let's step it up a notch. I've grouped prompts 4 and 5 together here because, well, they share a location but require a slightly different vocabulary application. The text tells us, Pedro y Ana trabajan en el teatro. Pedro and Ana work in the theater. So how do we describe Pedro's profession, and how do we describe Ana's? Think back to our vocab list, and remember, you've got to account for gender here.
Here is the breakdown. For Pedro, we say, él es actor. He is an actor. For Ana, we say, ella es actriz. She is an actress. This is a brilliant example of how Spanish requires us to match the gendered pronouns él and ella with the distinct gendered titles for the profession.
Moving right along to number 11. Enrique trabaja en un tribunal. Enrique works in a court. So the crucial point here is recalling that specific vocabulary pair we highlighted a few minutes ago. What exactly is Enrique's profession?
He is a lawyer. Él es abogado. Again, we're seeing that structure beautifully reinforced. Pronoun, conjugated verb, profession. Él es abogado.
And here is our final workplace mystery from the exercise. Number 12. Ernesto trabaja en una carnicería. Ernesto works in a butchery. Remember that sneaky little linguistic pattern we talked about with the suffixes? Go ahead and construct the sentence. Él es carnicero. He is a butcher. Bam! Fantastic job. Seriously, if you recognize that pattern between the location, the carnicería, and the worker, the carnicero, you are truly thinking like a Spanish speaker now. That's a huge win.
All right, Section 4, Summary and Review. Let's bring it all home.
We have covered a lot of ground today, moving from just a raw vocabulary list to actually constructing real sentences that define people's identities based on where they work. Let's cement this grammatical formula so it stays with you long after this explainer ends. Here's your core takeaway, neatly packaged up. To link a person to their job in Spanish, you just follow this exact, super reliable formula. You start with a personal pronoun, like él or ella. You add the third-person singular conjugation of the verb ser, which is es. And finally, you just attach the profession vocabulary word. Pronoun plus ser plus profession. Boom! It is incredibly logical, and once you practice it a few times, it just becomes second nature.
Now, I want to leave you with a real-world challenge. ¿Y tú? ¿Dónde trabajas y qué eres? And you? Where do you work and what are you? Take the formula we mastered today, find the Spanish vocabulary for your own workplace and your own profession, and construct your own sentence. Literally, try saying it out loud right now. Thank you so much for joining me to decode this material. Keep practicing, stay focused, and I will absolutely see you in the next explainer.